Taiwan is in the midst of re-evaluating its energy supply situation. 20 kilometers to the north of Taipei. Built in 1978, this is Jinshan Nuclear Power Plant. Ten kilometers to the east is Guosheng Nuclear Power Plant, built in 1981. Both have 2 nuclear reactors, as does Ma'anshan Nuclear Power Plant, located in the south. 3 out of the 6 total reactors are currently active. In January 2016, Tsai Ing-wen of the Democratic Progressive Party won Taiwan's presidential election. 1 year later, her administration passed a reform stating that all nuclear power would be phased out. The decision follows years of protests by residents. Within Asia, Taiwan is the first to state a total ban on nuclear power. The government is carrying out various tests to try and increase renewable energy sources. It's been about 1 year since Taiwan decided to shut down its nuclear power plants. What's the current situation on the ground? On January 11, 2017, Taiwan's legislature approved an amendment to the Electricity Act stating that all nuclear reactors would be decommissioned by 2025. This graph shows the ratio of power generation in Taiwan in 2016. About 80% is thermal power. Nuclear power makes up 12%. To reduce that to zero, the government has stated that renewable energy must be increased from 4.8% to 20%.
Solar and wind generation technology has matured. We're actively pursuing both at the moment. Taiwan has a lot of potential for expanding both wind and solar power.
Taiwan is located in the subtropical and tropical monsoon region. Long periods of summer sunshine are perfect for solar power. Additionally, there are strong winds across the Taiwan Strait in winter. By 2025, the government plans to build 1,000 wind turbines both on and off the shore of the western coast. "60 kilometers to the west of Taiwan's main island are the Penghu Islands. They're home to 100,000 people. On these islands, the government is testing out renewable energy generation. Wind turbines were first introduced in Taiwan in 2001. Today, there are 14 of them, and they contribute 10% of the island's total energy. 11 more are currently under construction. There's also a plan to build 20 offshore wind turbines within the next 5 years. Many public buildings, such as schools and police stations, have solar panels on their roofs. The local government is pushing new policies to further raise the ratio of renewable energy generation.
Taiwan Power Company and the government have control over wind power generation, but we want solar power to take off in the private sector. We therefore offer numerous incentives.
An agreement was signed between the government, the county, and Tai Power, the power company. Electricity generated by solar power on the Penghu Islands will be bought for anywhere up to 21% more than in other regions. The idea is to promote use among residents.
This is our 太阳能板. 他来装的时候，我们根本不用花1毛钱。对啊，我们不用花钱。哎。
The solar panels on this woman's house are owned by the company that installed them. She rents out her roof to the company. In return, it pays her 10% of the income it makes from selling the electricity, which comes out to be roughly $40 a month.
他装这个太阳能，送给我们一台电动汽车哦，是很好啊。
A thermal power plant on the Penghu Islands. The rise in renewable energy production has seen the number of active generators fall from 6 to 5. The power company expects a major increase in renewable energy, so it is engaged in projects to use the surplus electricity.
所以这个方向是海的方向，这边是台湾本岛的方向。
An underwater cable connects the Penghu Islands to Taiwan's main island. It delivers surplus energy and can also receive it when demand outstrips supply. Chimay Island lies 40 kilometers to the south of Penghu's main island and is home to about 2,000 people. Its main industries are fishing and tourism. The government and the county co-sponsor research on the island. Climate conditions can make the supply of renewable energy unpredictable, so a new project is building a system to provide stability. Project leader Chen Chao-shun is an electrical engineering professor. This is the Green Energy Park Control Center. 10 researchers from Thai Power and major electronic makers are working with the professor to develop a smart grid. The grid will consolidate management of electricity supply and demand, thereby creating a more efficient power system. The center's computers monitor the island's electricity usage and store the data. This helps the system predict and supply the necessary power according to the time. Energy generated by wind and solar means are also monitored. Excess energy is stored. When the amount of renewable energy falls due to weather conditions, the system releases the stored energy. If there still isn't enough, the system can increase the supply from the thermal power plant. A vital component of the smart grid is its batteries.
这个是磷酸锂铁的一个电池系统。那我们希望用这一套系统，在绿能过剩的时候，把它储存起来。那当然，除了这个储存系统，目前来讲，这个价钱还是比较贵但是我们预估未来电动车一上来以后，这个电池的价钱可以大幅下降。
Professor Chen thinks a completed system will make the island's power usage more efficient. He says a reduction in required energy of up to 70% is possible. The county wants to create a low-carbon society. It's increasing renewable energy sources, pushing for electric transport, and reducing carbon dioxide emissions from thermal power generation and gasoline. This is Penghu's main airport. Solar panels are on the roof of the bike lot, and there are charging stands below. Electric bikes can be charged here.
In our county, we pay up to a third of the cost of an electric bike to promote the switch from gasoline-fueled ones.
This is a charging stand on Chimay Island. There are no users or electric bikes in sight. Most of the bikes on the island run on gas. Rental companies used by tourists only stock gas models.
现在他的电动摩托车半年就坏掉了，所以他现在已经也是改为汽油的。因为这边海风侵蚀的比较严重，对。
The creation of a low-carbon society still faces many issues. Taiwan's nuclear power plants will all be decommissioned by 2025. The decision was strongly influenced by many regional citizens groups who work together to protest against nuclear power and environmental destruction. The Green Citizens Action Alliance played a key role. Established in 2000, it focuses on nuclear power as well as other environmental issues. Today, it has 400 members, almost all of them volunteers. The group is funded by donations and product sales during events. This anti-nuclear T-shirt was designed by a member.
金融业。那为什么想到来这边做志工呢？想到来这边做志工，就是理念还不错。什么？
Some members bring their children.
就让他们知道说，其实有一群人就是这么努力，就是对这个环境啊、地球这样。一个人多做两个菜，不是两个菜，所以烫的菜，他真的开心耶，而且他真的是。
Cui Su-shin heads the organization. She became interested in environmental issues in her mid-teens. Back then, she hadn't thought much about nuclear power. She came face to face with the issue during her first year at graduate school. The turning point was a series of demonstrations against the construction of a fourth nuclear power plant 30 kilometers east of Taipei. Gongliao, the site of the construction, was a bustling fishing town of 14,000 people. The Longmen plant's construction was announced in 1980. 2 years later, 230 families had their land seized for the construction site. Since Taiwan was under martial law, residents couldn't gather to protest. Legally organized protest became possible when martial law was She asked many locals about why they continued to protest and how they felt about living in the town. She believed their protest should be documented and picked up her camera.
They'd already been protesting for 20 years when I began filming. Everybody totally misunderstood them. They were seen as anti-government alarmists who didn't understand nuclear power. But they just wanted to protect their home. They didn't want it changed by nuclear plant.
Cui wanted more people to learn the truth. She spent 4 years putting together a documentary film about the resident struggle. This is a discussion with government officials in June 2000. Cui also looked into water quality in the area. A beautiful coral reef was killed by falling soil from the construction. Gongliao residents lost precious marine resources in addition to their fishing rights.
所以这月前撤销对大家影响蛮大的。
对移民当然生气蛮大的，你了不？
对啊。
对移民生气一定很大的，你不能在这边作业，你就闭了不一样哪里啊？
Despite residents' protests, the nuclear power plant construction continued. The protesters grew older, and some passed away.
啊，庆祝嘛，要等你来等来庆祝啊，吼。
Cui worked day in and day out, creating an emotional record of their struggles. She had one clear goal when she made her film.
I don't want to convince viewers that they should oppose nuclear power. I want them to understand the residents' situation and to discuss whether we really need nuclear power. And to realize that the protesters aren't irrational rioters. They're demonstrating for a reason.
In 2005, 2 years after completing graduate school, Cui began working full-time for the Green Citizens Action Alliance. She wanted to publicize the protest against the Longmen nuclear power plant. She traveled around Taiwan with her movie and has shown it over 200 times. March 2011. The Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster in Japan stunned the world. Taiwanese media reported on it daily, strengthening the residents' resolve. In April, an unprecedented number of young people joined a demonstration to stop construction on the Longmen plant. People gathered in Taipei's public squares every week. Famous stars and artists spoke about the dangers of nuclear power. Popular film director Yang Ya-je joined the movement and made an anti-nuclear power video with friends.
The actors, my colleagues, were happy to join the protests. It's an extremely serious issue.
The video was used at events around Taiwan and broadcast on TV. It became quite the topic of conversation. Popular and charismatic rock singer Shin heads the cast. The director compares the nuclear power plant to a broken-down robot and criticizes the ballooning construction costs.
核四从最早核定的1697亿元预算一路追加，今年预计将增加到3300亿元。这个数字已经是原来的2倍。
我是人，我反核。
April 2014. The Green Citizens Action Alliance led a sit-down protest of 50,000 people in front of Taiwan's presidential office building. Police used hoses to try and move the protesters. That night, the government decided they could no longer ignore the resistance. Construction was put on hold. The nuclear power plant was over 90% complete. Tsai Ing-wen's 2016 campaign focused on a nuclear power-free Taiwan, among other issues. A 2017 amendment stated that no nuclear reactors would be in use by 2025.
I'm not optimistic about the 2025 phase-out goal. On the surface, due to the energy law reforms, we look like we're leading the way for renewable energy in Asia. But we're lagging behind when it comes to concrete plans and execution. Look at Germany, South Korea, and Japan. They're saving energy and switching to renewable energy much faster than us. It's vital that environmental groups like us keep a close eye on the government.
There are some who strongly oppose the government's decision to move away from nuclear power. Lin Po Fong is the chairman of a business group that includes 80% of Taiwan's listed companies.
To ensure a stable supply of electricity, we need a reserve margin of 6%. We've dropped below that on 9 days these past 3 months alone. Our group wants a stable supply of electricity at a stable price. Taiwan is facing a power shortage. Without using nuclear power, we will most certainly run short. We should keep operating the nuclear power plants.
In August 2017, there was a major power outage that has come to symbolize Taiwan's precarious position. A mistake by a staff member at the Datan power plant stopped the supply of natural gas. It left nearly half of the homes in Taiwan without power. The Minister of Economic Affairs retired as a result.
蛮恐怖，你有遇到吗？有啊有啊。就是交通警察都要出来指挥交通，然后可能本来我要教小朋友上课，然后就也不能上课，就要回家了。对，我是走在街上，然后发现一整排的店家都暗了，就是都没有电，对啊。
This is a residential apartment area in Taipei. Since 1995, it has been illegal to build on communal roofs. However, many buildings constructed before then have these types of additions. Solar panels are not allowed to be added on top because it's dangerous. Although the government is eager to promote solar energy as a means to overcome power shortages, it cannot tear down these extensions. Nobody has come up with a practical solution. Cui from the Green Citizens Action Alliance spends the evening downtown. She's out in the rain to advertise an upcoming event. Other members also help her promote.
这礼拜天就是311福岛核灾的7周年，希望呢能够推动绿能跟节能这2个方向。所以在礼拜天的反核游行当中，我们会有翻转能源未来展。 也会告诉大家如何省下1度电，让我们每个人都可以变成节能减碳的达人了。
Many of the Green Citizens Action Alliance members and supporters focus on conserving electricity. After the Fukushima incident, Li Yu-shin joined the group out of concern for her children's future. There are 8 lights in the kitchen, but only the 3 over the sink and stove are on. Instead of wasting power by keeping the TV on standby, they switch it on when they're ready to watch. Their power bill has decreased by about 20% since they began being mindful of their electricity usage.
我并不是说不用，而是我知道我什么时候需要用，我怎么样去把它用得很聪明。那这件事我觉得很重要。
March 11th, 2018. 7 years after the Fukushima incident, the Green Citizens Action Alliance worked with 22 resident groups around Taiwan to hold an event. It's open to the public, and they're focusing on renewable energy and saving electricity. At this display, families can play with their children while learning how much energy is used by various appliances.
什么？那是什么？电灯。
Other visitors played an original game that combines cards with a quiz on saving electricity.
为了省电，电器不用水就要水把它调出来。是。
对。可是通常石头拔这个答案是对的，没错。可是因为我们会不鼓励随时，就是因为你常常拔插头，插头可能会坏，电器本身没坏，所以我们还是会建议说可以加装这一种开关的。
Pedaling this bike helps to power a cotton candy machine.
是哦，那是要骑脚踏车的人才会有吗？
It's a big hit with kids.
就其实很有趣，就它不会像就是在上课程那样很枯燥很多，它是用就是跟你互动的方式，所以就整个变得很有趣，然后可以。
Various Taiwanese media outlets covered the event. Sui responded to interviews for as long as possible.
节能可以指去等绿能一下发展没有快。那如果这两个方案下来的话，其实我们觉得，如果大家一起共体时间来撑过这能源过渡期的话，大概过了这2年，我们接下来有一些天然气的电厂会陆续上线，我们的电力的这个吃紧的状况会逐渐缓解。
In the afternoon, 2,000 people took part in a protest march demanding faster shutdown of the nuclear power plants and better energy-saving measures. Film director Yang also participated. Taiwan's residents have chosen to go nuclear power free for the sake of their children's, grandchildren's, and home's future. Can every nuclear power plant be decommissioned by 2025? There's still a long road ahead.